Welcome to the webinar on how to use the Medgem device. Today, we'll discuss how to use your Medgem device, how to use your Analyzer software program, tips on using your Medgem device, and how to optimize your Medgem appointment times. So to get started, you first want to plug the power supply into a wall outlet. Here, you just want to make sure that the green light is turned on the power supply. If you don't see this green light, then contact either your sales rep or customer service to get you set up with a new power supply, because without power, you won't be able to perform a measurement. Then you want to plug the cord into the device. When you do so, you'll hear the device beep, and that LED light on top will turn from red to green to orange. At this point, you can go ahead and place the device on a table away from any fans or vents as to not disrupt the self-calibration process. And you can also put the mouthpiece into the device. Typically, we recommend having the patient do this just to minimize germ transfer. You can let them open up the mouthpiece package and put the mouthpiece onto the device. When doing so, you want to make sure that the longer end of the mouthpiece is toward the bottom, and also make sure that the flow tube, which is the part that the mouthpiece inserts into, make sure that is firmly and smoothly attached to the device. At this point, you can go ahead and push that orange button to begin the self-calibration process. It takes about 30 seconds, and it's required before every measurement. You'll notice that the self-calibration is completed when you hear the device beep, and the LED light will change from a blinking orange to a blinking green. So essentially, when you see that blinking green color, you are good to begin a measurement just by having the patient begin breathing into the mouthpiece. But before we move on, I have a quick video demonstration showing how the self-calibration process is set up, just in case that helps you visually. So let me go ahead and get that video. Today, I'm going to show you the process of self-calibration for the Medgem device. First, you want to plug the power cord into the wall outlet. Then you want to plug in the device. You'll hear it beep. The light on top will turn red to green to orange, and you'll hear a soft, quick buzz. At this point, you want to put the device on a flat surface, such as a table, away from any air fans or vents. You may then hand the nose clips and the mouthpiece to the patient, for the patient to put the mouthpiece into the device. However, for demo purposes, I will go ahead and put the mouthpiece into the device. When you insert the mouthpiece, it's important to make sure the longer end of the mouthpiece is towards the bottom. You may then push the orange button to begin the self-calibration process. This is required before every measurement and takes up to 30 seconds. When you hear the beep, it'll change to a flashing green color. This indicates the device is ready for a measurement. You may then hand the device to the patient for the patient to put the mouthpiece into their mouth and begin breathing as normal as possible to start the test. Okay, so that is the self-calibration process. We'll get back to the webinar. One other thing to note that before starting a measurement is standby mode. So after the device is ready for a measurement, when you see that flashing green light, you have about, I think it's 60 seconds or a minute to begin a measurement. If you don't begin a measurement within that time frame, the device will go into standby mode, which is fine. You'll see what's in standby mode if you see that solid orange color. So if you see that solid orange color, just put the device back on the table, go ahead and push that orange button to restart the self-calibration process. Typically, it only takes about 10 seconds the second time around for the self-calibration process, and then once it beeps and it turns green, you're good to go. I also have a quick video demonstration on the standby mode as well. So let me go ahead and pull that up. When you notice the light changes from the flashing green color to a solid orange color, this indicates the device is in standby mode. After the device is self-calibrated, you have a certain amount of time to begin the test. If you do not begin the test within that certain amount of time, the device will go in standby mode. Simply put it back on the table and push the orange button to to restart the self-calibration process. When you hear the beep, you may then begin this test. Thank you. Okay, that is it for standby mode and self-calibration process. So we'll get back to the webinar again. Alrighty, so once the device has been calibrated and that light is flashing green, you can then begin a measurement. The device will automatically begin a measurement once the patient starts breathing into the device. The measurement can take up to 10 minutes, so just sit back and relax and ensure that your patient is as comfortable and breathing as normal as possible. You can note that while performing a measurement, you should hear a soft buzz, and the LED light on top will be a solid green color. You'll know that the measurement is completed when the device beeps. Once you hear the beep, you can discard the mouthpiece and the nose clip since they are not reusable. The only time we recommend reusing a mouthpiece and nose clip is if you get an error code in the middle of a measurement. Then you can go ahead and redo the measurement with the same mouthpiece and nose clip. Otherwise, we recommend disposing them only because the efficacy of the mouthpiece filter can deteriorate over time. So if you schedule a remeasurement 3 months from now or 6 months from now, we just definitely recommend giving the patient a new mouthpiece just to ensure accuracy. So when the device is done, you'll also see the RMR and the VO2 values alternating on the LCD screen on the device. You can go ahead and write these values down and open up your computer and open up the Analyzer software program, which can be used to calculate the remaining total energy expenditure, or your TEE, values. So let's talk a little bit about the Medgem Analyzer software program. Now that you have your RMR value, which equates to about 60 to 75% of a person's total energy expenditure, you can now use the Medgem Analyzer to determine the rest of a person's total energy expenditure. So let me go ahead and open up the Analyzer software program just so you can see what it would look like. So when you open it up on your computer, this is what you'll see. You'll want to add a new client by clicking this icon up here. You can even say it says add new client when you scroll over it. You can just type in the information. You can change the date of birth. We'll just say 1950, and we'll say female, and save. So you'll see it created the client right here, and then at this point, this is where you want to enter the RMR value from your Medgem device. So to do so, you'll go to this icon, which says Enter Measurement for Current Client. Here you can just type in the RMR value. Again, this is what you would get from the device, and the VO2 value, and you can click OK. And it will automatically take you into this screen as soon as it loads. Okay, there it is. So this is where you can change all of these values based on your patient's information. Their current weight, their occupation. If you're not sure which category their occupation falls into, you can use this icon right here, and it'll give you example occupations. The same thing is for the exercise plan. If you're not sure what their exercises fall into, which category, you can just click this button, and it'll give you sample exercises. Let's find a better one than that one. Let's do light, and you can just kind of see some examples right here. And then, of course, you want to put in their weight plan, their current weight, their target weight. Let's say this wanted to lose 5 pounds. You can change their rate of change by picking a date. That'll automatically change their rate of change down here. And this is just what you deem necessary, healthy, etc. Okay, and so then once you hit OK, you want to save this button, and then you would open up your profile report right here. Now, the nice thing about the Analyzer software program is that it contains a lot of useful information that's geared towards increasing your patient's knowledge and awareness on a variety of topics. So I will go into more information on those topics back to the webinar, but this just shows you kind of how you use it, how you create a client, and then when you open the profile report, that's where all that information is, and I'll get to that information back on the webinar. Okay, so one topic that the Analyzer program talks about is calorie balance. Calorie balance is, of course, essential when we're talking about weight management. The Analyzer program uses this scale to illustrate what calorie balance looks like. So the way it all works is that the analyzer program will first calculate calorie expenditure by using the RMR measurement from the Medgem, as well as all of that information you put in on the analyzer program, you know, their occupation, their exercise plan, height, weight, weight goal. It uses that information and it will calculate calorie expenditure. So once it determines what the person's calorie expenditure is, which means how many calories they're burning each day, it can then generate the person's calorie budget based on the person's weight goal. So in this particular example, this person's weight loss goal was to lose 1 pound a week. Therefore, the analyzer program subtracted 500 calories from the daily calorie expenditure to generate the calorie budget. In this instance, since this person's calorie expenditure was calculated to be 1742 calories per day, the analyzer subtracted 500 calories to allow them to eat 1,242 calories per day to reach their weight loss goal in a healthy and timely manner. Another useful feature of the analyzer program is the RMR scale. Oftentimes, when a person's RMR is measured, the first question they're going to ask is my RMR good or bad? Well, this scale lets people know if their RMR is low, normal, or high based on their own unique body factors. Not only is the scale a great visual, but it can also help health professionals and patients design a more appropriate strategy for weight management. For example, if the person's RMR is normal to high, but they're having problems losing weight, then perhaps there's something else going on in their body, and another test, like a blood test, for example, would be helpful. However, if their RMR is low, then you can formulate ideas on how to increase their RMR, like through strength training, for example. Increasing a person's RMR will allow a person to burn more calories throughout the day, which can significantly help with weight loss. So before the measurement, here are some useful tips that you can do. In order to get an accurate reading, the client must be under proper resting conditions. Now this is essential. Making sure that the patient is under protocol, under resting conditions, allows for an accurate measurement. So here's the protocol right here on the screen. You want to make sure they haven't exercised 4 hours before the test. They haven't consumed any food or beverages, with the exception of water, 4 hours before the test. They haven't consumed any nutritional supplements or short-term medication 4 hours before the test, and they haven't had nicotine 1 hour before the test. Now this is just the bare requirements to ensure an accurate measurement. Ideally, if you could have them, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours without exercise or food and beverages, that would be beneficial. It just means their body is in an even more rested state, which could lead to an even more accurate measurement. Now, if your patient comes in the morning and they just ate breakfast an hour ago, while it may not be ideal, we just recommend canceling the measurement or rescheduling the measurement, only because there's really no way in determining or guessing how inaccurate the measurement will be, so it'll kind of end up being a waste of time. So again, the protocol, making sure your client is under this resting condition, is essential. Now you can also explain to the client what to expect before the measurement. Since breathing through your mouth with your nose plugged is pretty abnormal, you can remind your patient to maintain a normal breathing pattern as best they can. You also want to make sure that they're comfortable. You want to make sure they're at least sitting down, maybe even reclined or laying down. The goal is to have the patient feel like they're about to fall asleep without actually falling asleep. Again, the more rested their body is, the more accurate the measurement will be. You can also let them know that the test should take up to 10 minutes, since some people can get a little fidgety around the 5-minute marker. I found that in my own experience, doing measurements on other people, that it tends to help to have a clock in front of the patient, or maybe even a phone with a timer on it, just because sitting with your mouth open, breathing through this device with your nose plugged, that can make 10 minutes feel a little long. And so oftentimes people might start getting a little anxious or nervous around the 5-minute marker. So just to let them see the time in front of them might help to reduce some of those nerves. And also, since they're breathing with their mouth open, drooling can be quite common, so I recommend having a paper towel nearby so that when they're finished with their measurement, if there is drooling, they can just grab that paper towel and, take care of themselves. Okay, and the last slide is just a quick summary of what an appointment can look like from beginning to end. So you may want to give each appointment at least 35 minutes for a measurement. The first 15 minutes can typically be spent having the patient check in, filling out the analyzer software questionnaire, and ensuring that the patient is under resting conditions, making sure they follow that protocol. You can also make sure that the patient rests. Maybe they're in the waiting room or something for about 10 minutes beforehand just to get the most accurate results. In the meantime, you can get the device set up and ready for that self-calibration process. And then the next 15 minutes can be spent with you briefly reviewing the concepts of the Medgem procedure, letting them know what to expect while doing the measurement, etc. And also remind the patient or inform them to be relaxed and calm and remain as still as possible during the measurement. And after the Medgem has completed a measurement, you can spend the last 5 minutes or so entering that patient information into the analyzer software program. You can then open up that profile report that'll have the calorie balance scale and the RMR scale, and you can kind of go over that with your patient. And you can even print that report out for them so that your patient can take it home with them and use it as a guide on their journey to weight management. So that summarizes the webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at 303-274-2277, extension 111, or you can shoot me an email. It's my first name, Kristen.Richardson@mims, that's MIMHS.com. Thank you so much for joining me.